Legend tells of an ancient book so evil and so vile that it could summon the dead. Reading these cursed passages brings only madness and suffering. But to truly summon the forces of evil, one must look beyond the bounds of the blood-inked images into the space between. The void where true darkness lies in wait, plotting to seduce you to its ungodly ways and convince you to watch Beast Wars. This evil resides within the gutter space, the only pop culture news show hosted in front of a live studio hostage. The trailer for Evil Dead Rise is out and it looks fantastic. I have high expectations that this scene with the cheese grater will become instantly iconic and hopefully infamous. The idea of a normal family living in the city dealing with deadites and finding the book is something new that we haven't seen in an Evil Dead movie before. An entire apartment building is a lot of ground to cover when the forces of evil are at work, so it's a great setting. Just look how impossible it seemed to get out of that tiny cabin. I'd be surprised if any of these characters can actually make it down the hallway successfully, let alone to the first floor. I just wish the Necronomicon prop in this one looked a little bit cooler because it's just kind of a big old book made of ham. Bringing the series back to its horror roots and easing up on the comedy, while still hopefully retaining some camp, sounds like a good direction to go. I'm a huge fan of Evil Dead, and I'll always maintain that the 2014 remake is just as good as the rest of the franchise, even without Ash Williams. And if you're desperate for a more Army of Darkness-esque legacy continuation about Ash, good news! You got 30 episodes of that, even though everyone pirated it to death.
But don't worry, none of you are guilty. It was only the most illegally downloaded TV show in the history of fucking TV shows. Why did it get canceled? Because you fuckers ripped it.
I understand Bruce's resentment that some of you punks didn't support the show's official release, resulting in its cancellation. So if you're salty that Evil Dead content is coming out without Ash Williams, it's really our own fault for not trying harder to keep that show up and running. Sure, it sucks because he's such a great character, but there's been enough Evil Dead-style content without him that I can comfortably say the series can evolve past the character. Just go watch that Creepshow episode with Ted Raimi and an obvious Bob Ross parody as the main hero. It works just as well. And then the remake. All I'm really hoping for from this new installment is some kind of connection back to the 2014 movie with a return appearance from Mia Allen. I feel like this is in that same universe because, the Deadites got the different eyes instead of the pure white ones like the other stuff. I don't know. Hell, you could always just bring back Kelly and Pablo from the TV show if you want to confirm that these are all in the same universe somehow. Continuity's always been kinda fast and loose for Evil Dead, so the sky's the limit, and we have plenty of cool protagonists to choose from outside of the Hefe. If you want to hear me talk more about Evil Dead stuff, go check out mine and Diego's massive retrospective on all of the Evil Dead games. We even got Bruce and his son Andy to have some cameos in that video. In 2020, there were over 5 million car crashes. That's more than 15,000 a day and 600 an hour. Just back in December, my own dad slid off an icy road and broke his hip in 4 places, and the thought of getting legal help was so daunting for him. Those in an accident can be entitled to more than you think. When something like that happens, it's always good to have someone in your corner looking out for your best interest. Someone like the fine folks at Morgan & Morgan. If you've been in an accident, there are certain things you need to do. Make sure you're okay, make sure you get a police report, make sure you contact your insurance, and make sure you get legal representation. So if you're injured and don't know where to start, with Morgan & Morgan it's so easy. Morgan & Morgan have modernized injury law by making the process as easy and streamlined as possible, so you can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less. No need for you to visit law offices and sit through timely consultations. You can submit a claim and have a lawyer review your case and get started on helping you right away. You can submit your case details, sign contracts, upload documents, and medical records all from your cell phone. And you can even text your attorney and legal team throughout the duration of your case. With Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to leave the couch. If you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. For more information, go to forthepeople.com or pound law. That's pound 529 from your cell phone. Now back to the video. The other thing I love but don't talk about often enough on the channel is Transformers. Particularly Beast Wars! It was the series I grew up with and what got me interested into that world and characters, so it's surreal to see them being adapted into the big-budget live-action Transformers world. I think it's a shame that none of the original Beast Wars voice cast made it into the movie except for that guy who played Depth Charge. But it probably has something to do with all them being Canadian VAs and this being an American production, union rules or something. Ron Perlman has played Optimus Primal in the past, so they at least looked for someone that could be a returning voice. But my heart will always be with Mr. Chalk. I'm not totally jazzed about having G1 characters and Beast Wars era characters directly crossing over and interacting again, because they're supposed to be separated by several centuries and effectively act as different subsections of the franchise. But these movies need Bumblebee and Optimus Prime as mainstays to sell, so I'm sure the Beast guys will travel in from the future to pull a Star Trek 09 and reboot the timeline so the Bay movies never happened. Which would be pretty funny. Did you remember that Unicron is the Earth? And if he transforms, it would kill everyone? I'm curious how they'll explain in the movie, why they're animals instead of cars, because the show did a pretty good job of that. But this story is completely different, so we'll see. Speaking of Transformers news, after a 2-decade run and some of the most important stories in the franchise, IDW has unfortunately lost the license to publish Transformers comics due to low sales. Man, they had it all. Transformers, Ninja Turtles, and Sonic. It was the full trifecta of things autistic people love. I hear their Sonic and Turtles stuff is doing pretty well though, so they at least have most of that market cornered. I'm curious who could become the new comic home of Transformers. It'd be really ironic if they ended up back at Marvel after all these years. I've been saying for years that I want more comic book themed games with cel-shaded art style instead of photorealism. Other than that Telltale schlock. And we finally have a new Hellboy game delivering on that. Just look at Ultimate Spider-Man, that still holds up. The blocky and angular character models with heavy, pure black inking shadows evoke so much of the look of Mike Mignola's comics, and this character was a perfect choice to render in this art style. Plus, Lance Reddick voicing Red is a great choice. Maybe one of these days it would be fun to cover all the various Hellboy games from over the years, since he's had quite a few appearances. I can dress up Diego as a cigar-chomping devil detective with filed-down horns. I bet he'd be down. As for superhero games with photorealistic art styles that all look the same, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will feature Kevin Conroy's final performance as the Dark Knight. It's a shame it'll be in a project where he's like a mind-controlled bad guy, but I do think it's a little poetic that it would be Arkham Batman for his last outing in such a legendary career. I hope in the boss fight with him, he does the cape stun and beatdown on the player to give you an instant game over, because that would be pretty funny. New Spider-Verse footage! Never in a million years did I think Spectacular Spider-Man or Spider-Man Unlimited would be featured in a high-budget, theatrically released movie in the year 2023 together. I don't have much to say about the trailer other than that this isn't PS1 Spider-Man, what the hell are you guys talking about? And I'm happy to see Miles back in action because the first movie made me love and appreciate the character when I didn't previously. You know what? It's also fun to see a married Peter Parker with a child in a big mainstream movie because now Marvel editorial will have an even harder time pretending that should never happen in the comics. Mayday's going to be popular, you assholes! You can't do anything to stop it! Deadpool 3 will be a crossover with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It's been so long since we've done an episode of this that, I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about that. That is the oldest news. God damn it, he better wear the suit finally! That beautiful, dehydrated, effeminate Australian Adonis. Ant-Man 3 is going for a more grand, epic, massive route for its story. Director Peyton Reed says he wants to be the one doing the big explosion movie instead of the palate cleanser, but I always felt that the smaller scope was the most appealing thing about the Ant-Man movies. So it's kind of sad to lose that. But, now it's like setting up Kang the Conqueror for multiple Avengers movies, and it's pretty much exclusively on green screens. The Spy Kids 3 Shark Boy and Lava Girl accusations are pretty founded, but I'm just happy to see that Kang has a funny blue face. Or purple face, I don't know, I'm really colorblind. And MODOK is a big floating head. I've been pretty burned out on MCU stuff lately and have been enjoying their recent projects less and less, save for Spider-Man. But I'll give this one a shot because, Scott Lang is a really fun character and Kang looks pretty cool and, I don't know, I like when she fucked Daredevil. The DC movie universe imploded! James Gunn and some other guy, I forgot his name, are basically restarting the entire thing from scratch and recasting everyone. They're dumping the old continuity and starting over. Marvel may need to do this same thing in 10 years once people start jonesing for more Iron Man and Captain America content. As a fan of Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Sonic, and cartoon superheroes in general, I'm quite used to this sort of thing. I don't think any movie or animated continuity should run indefinitely, especially when most of said continuity kinda sucks because the studio keeps meddling with it and has no clear vision for what they want to do. First it's Snyder's thing, then they lost faith in him and sabotaged all of that, and then it was a few years of just throwing everything at the wall, and then it was like Dwayne Johnson's thing for like 6 months, and then he seemed to be unclear who Black Adam is a villain for, so he kept pushing for a plotline that didn't make any sense because his ego won't allow him to play a character that loses to a 14-year-old. Then they just threw the whole thing out. Having Henry show up for that short Superman cameo for a glimpse of hope just to boot him back out again within the same month was really brutal and terrible, but at this point I'm just so tired of these movies being such a sideshow that I'll take a fresh start. If you're not going to let Snyder do his thing, and you're also not going to let Johnson do his thing, then just give up and stop trying to play with toys in someone else's box. Make your own Batman and Superman and Flash and Wonder Woman and Aquaman and do whatever you want with them, Warner Brothers, cause like, fuck man, this is just not working. Zachary Levi, however, continues to say silly shit on social media with full confidence, implying that he's not going to be recast and rebooted. But, like, the studio's not going to say they're dropping the cast of a movie that hasn't come out yet, because they still need to sell those tickets. Shazam 2 and The Flash are foregone conclusions since they're too expensive to throw in the trash like Batgirl, and they've already had some marketing, so people are aware that those will come out. Those will drop, and then we'll get the news that those actors are out. Which is sad, because, you know, Jason Momoa is pretty cool. I mean, there's rumors that he might be Lobo, which, alright, sure, fair enough. Frankly, adapting Flashpoint as one of the last movies in this series may be a happy accident, so they can just end it with a new timeline being jump-started. So they, like, canonize the reboot as something that happens in the story. Kind of like how they did that whole run of lightly connected animated movies for a little while in the late 2000s, then did Flashpoint to start that DC animated movie universe that ran for like 10 years, that was a lot more clean with its continuity. Then when that ran its course, they just had the Flash start them over again for the current thing. Having Flash as a character is an easy reboot button if your story gets fucked up, so you're lucky to have him. Indiana Jones 5 is a thing. Digital de-aging looks better and better every year.
This is a different kind of de-aging. Mm-hmm. This is actual archival footage of film of me at that age. So it's not it's a different process.
I'm not like a super huge indie fan, but this looks pretty cool though. Maybe I should go back through and play all the Indiana Jones games. More Gutter Space will come out in 2023 as long as new stupid stuff keeps getting announced. I have a lot of videos planned, including more crossovers with my pals Muzzy and Diego. Thank you guys for watching the ever-loving hell out of that Ultimate Spider-Man video because it is now the most successful video launch on the entire channel. It meant a lot to see something really blow up and go huge after a bit of a slump for the past few months. Surely this Gutter Space video will do even better, right? I always get mad at YouTube for not putting my videos in the subscription box because people will comment, "Finally, Xavier uploads again after all these years," not knowing 3 other videos came out within the last month already. So maybe that stupid bell icon thing will help you remember I exist. If you want other ways to support the channel, you can always go hit up that Patreon for early videos and exclusive stuff because it's just $1. I'm not kidding, it's only $1. Isn't that cool? If everyone who watched this video donated $1 a month, I'd be able to afford a house for myself, so that would be really cool. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic, or just buy some of my random stuff on eBay. I have a pretty substantial collection of old toys that are still in the box in perfect condition, so go take a look in case you find something you like. And lastly, since this is a YouTube video and you probably play Fortnite, drop my creator code XavierGM next time you buy a silly dance or a cool character skin. Really helps me out. See you next time!